Good afternoon, everyone. Now we come to the first category of the drugs, which are known as the loop diuretics or the high ceiling diuretics, which include furosemide, bumetanide, and torsemide. Now, these drugs have their major diuretic action on the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle. Mechanism we'll understand with the help of this diagram of nephron. We'll focus on this thick ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now, the cell of the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle has got what is called the basolateral side and the luminal side. The basolateral side has sodium potassium pump present on its membrane, which push 3 sodium out into interstitium and 2 potassium inwards into the cell. On the luminal side, it has a very unique type of co-transporter, which is the sodium potassium 2 chloride ion transporter. Also, it has potassium leaky channels on the luminal side. Now, this transporter transport sodium, potassium, and 2 chloride ions from the luminal side into the cell. The transported sodium ions will eventually be taken up by these pumps present on this basolateral side, and this sodium will eventually move into the interstitium and add to the hyperosmolarity. In turn, more potassium will come into the cell. Also, the 2 chloride ions which are transported will move into the interstitium, adding to the hyperosmolarity through the basolateral membrane. The basolateral membrane has special type of mechanism for the movement of these chloride ions. Now we see here that potassium is transferred from the luminal side into the cell. Also, potassium is coming from the basolateral side. That is, we see abundant amount of potassium present in the thick ascending loop of Henle cell. Now, these large amount of potassium present in the cell will move through these leaky channels into the lumen. Now, what we are seeing here, we are seeing a type of recycling. First, potassium is coming from lumen to the cell and cell into the lumen. So these abundant amount of potassium ions will make this luminal side of the nephron electropositive, as these are abundant positive ions. Now, in the tubular fluid, we have the divalent cationic ions that are calcium and magnesium. Now, these calcium and magnesium ions won't be able to move further as this site is electropositive, highly electropositive, and these are positive cations, so these will repel and these will try to escape through these paracellular routes present in between the cells, and these will be eventually reabsorbed by the body. Now, what we saw just was the normal mechanism which was happening in the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now, the loop diuretics, for example, furosemide. Now, it is either taken orally or parenterally, and through glomerulus membrane it is filtered or is actively transported from PCT into the lumen. It travels through the lumen and reaches the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle, and it binds to the special co-transporter, that is the sodium potassium 2 chloride ion transporter, and it inhibits the transport of sodium, potassium, and chloride ions, which due to which there will be a less hyperosmolarity here, and the urine will become less dilute due to the ions. Now, what we see that these ions are not moving, are not reabsorbing in the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle. So these sodium and chloride ions will move to the distal part. Here, the sodium ions will move and appear in the urine, which is due to which there will be heavy diuresis and natriuresis, as sodium will drag water along with it. Also, now we'll focus on this part of the nephron, which are the principal cells of the collecting tubule. Now, like other cell, this side is the basolateral side of the principal cell of the collecting tubule, and this is the luminal side. The basolateral side has sodium potassium pumps present on its membrane, and the luminal side has sodium channels and potassium channels. Now, here the sodium reaching at this part will most of it will appear in the urine, but extra sodium will be taken by these special channels on the luminal side, and sodium enters into the principal cells of the collecting tubules. Now, this sodium will be taken up by these sodium potassium ATPase pumps present on the basolateral side, and these will push this sodium outside into interstitium and will pull in 2 potassium ion inside the cell. Now these principal cells of the collecting tubule will become rich in potassium ions. Now these potassium ions will move through these leaky channels into the lumen, and there will be not only natriuresis or diuresis, there will be also kaliuresis. Kaliuresis is the loss of potassium ions. This is the reason why these drugs are potassium wasting diuretics. Now here, as chloride ions were not able to reabsorb, the chloride ions will also appear in the urine, no doubt, but these chloride ions make help is one of the reason why this luminal side of the nephron is electronegative. Like we talked about, potassium made this side electropositive. Similarly here, this side is electronegative, as sodium is moving inside, extra sodium is moving into the principal cells of the collecting tubules, so this side is becoming less in positive cations, hence electronegative. Also chloride ions are moving to this side, making this side electronegative. Now this electronegativity is helping and attracting these potassium ion inside the cells to move out, therefore there will be heavy kaliuresis. Now as we talked about these sodium and chloride ions, so these were not reabsorbing in their action. So as we know, potassium is also not reabsorbing, so potassium is not moving from luminal side into the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle cells. So this intracellular level of potassium, which was abundant in potassium, will go down, and this potassium will not move through these leaky channels. This recycling process will not happen, and there were abundant amount of potassium ions making this luminal side electropositive, hence the electropositivity will decrease. And as we know that these divalent ion cations were reabsorbed through this paracellular transport in between the cells to the body, will eventually move further as electronegativity has been decreased. So these will reach to the distal part of the nephron, and they will appear in the urine, which will lead to calciuria and magnesiuria. Also we see that if sometimes patient is on furosemide for long term basis, there will be excessive calcium losses, as it will be present in the urine, and this may eventually activate the parathyroid hormone, which in turn will activate certain osteoclasts in the bone to release calcium, and this can lead to osteoporosis. Also this drug furosemide is used or given in severe hypercalcemia, and generally intravenously, in which the body will lose calcium ion. But under these circumstances, body will not only lose calcium ions, these will also lose these sodium and chloride ions and water, so there will be severe dehydration. So while giving this furosemide, normal saline water should be given, keeping in mind the danger of dehydration. Now we'll focus on this part, which is which are the intercalated cells of the in the collecting tubule. Now these have a master function of maintaining the acid base balance. Now here a reaction takes place. CO2 reacts with water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase and forms carbonic acid, which in turn breaks up into carbonate ion, which moves into the blood, eventually into the body, and proton is formed, which is actively transported from this cell into the lumen. Now here what happens, this proton ion reacts with HPO4 to form phosphoric acid. Now this reaction taking place will make the urine acidic. Now what we see that this side of the lumen was electronegative. Now this side of the was electronegative and was pulling and attracting the potassium ions. Now it is also helping these protons to move from the cell into the lumen, which eventually is making the this urine more acidic. Now patient will develop with hypovolemia, dehydration, so in turn RAS will be activated. So furosemide, when bound here by multiple mechanism, is helping in expelling the potassium making urine acidic. Now we'll come to the uh, next slide, which where we see the actions. Diuresis, already discussed, and increased urinary calcium excretion. Venodilation, it dilates the venules, which decreases the blood volume and venous return, which helps in coping with acute pulmonary edema. Therapeutic uses edema, acute pulmonary edema, as the by the vasodilatory action of these loop diuretics. Cerebral edema, by lowering the intracranial pressure by withdrawing water. Hypercalcemia, hyper kalemia, already discussed. Hypertension. Now these drugs, loop diuretics, are the first line of drugs for mild to moderate hypertension. They reduce the water and salt reabsorption. Initially, these loop diuretics like furosemide bring down blood pressure by bringing the blood volume down, but in long run these diuretics reduce or keep the blood pressure down by producing vasodilation. Now we come to the pharmacokinetics. These are administered orally or parenterally. Bioavailability of furosemide is approximately 50%, in between 10 to 90%. Bumetanide, bumetanide and torsemide has about 80 to 90%, and duration of action is about 6 hours. Adverse effect include acute hypovolemia and leading to severe dehydration, hypokalemia, potassium wasting drugs, and or toxicity related to ear, and hyperuricemia. Now this hyperuricemia happens because diuretics increase urination, which reduces the amount of fluid in the body, but remaining fluid is more concentrated, which increases the risk that will develop the crystal, and which can further lead to gout. Thank you.